Morning guys, we're on Proverbs chapter 24, reading from verse 1 to verse 9, looking at various aspects of wisdom. And it starts off by just reminding us to avoid those people that will lead us away from wisdom. Often we look at the world and we see men who have wealth and fame, and we can envy them and be drawn to them. Something about them that attracts us. But the word says, avoid them. Do not be envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them. Why? For their hearts or minds devise violence. That's ultimately where they end up. And their lips talk of trouble. So they end up talking about trouble and leading into violence. Verse 3, by wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. A house is something that needs planning, it needs building materials, it needs tools, it doesn't just pop up. And the same thing is with wisdom. You need to apply the knowledge of God to your life. And like a house, or this is a metaphor, it could be in a family, or even a business venture. It doesn't just happen. It needs a lot of planning, a lot of wisdom. And so we need to apply God's order and God's plans to our own lives. Verse 4, and by knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. And there's always those blessings of the fruit which can come in the form of riches. But even as we've read yesterday, the blessings of knowing a child is taken the right way and avoided those things that lead into what we were warned about as violence. Verse 5, a wise man is strong, and a man of knowledge increases power. So knowledge ultimately gives us power. The knowledge of God's word helps us to avoid certain situations. It helps us to build and plan and have a strong house. Verse 6, for by wise guidance you will wage war, and in abundance of counselors there's victory. You don't just wage war flippantly or quickly and make a rash decision. War is serious. It has serious consequences. And so we need much guidance. And so therefore in big decisions, abundance of counselors is needed. We need to seek the counsel of others that are wise, that can also help. We all got different gifts, different understanding, and as we just hear the opinion of wise men, we weigh it up, and that helps us make a wise decision in the abundance of counselors. Verse 7, wisdom is too exalted for a fool, he does not open his mouth at the gate. And so at the gate, the wise men would make decisions, they would buy and sell property, and the council met at the gate. But one thing that had nothing to add was the fool. And so he didn't even open his mouth because he has nothing that can add value. And so the wisdom of men add value. One who plans to do evil, men will call a schemer. So ultimately, even planning evil is sin. It goes on to say the devising of folly is sin in verse 9. And so planning and devising evil is sinful. And so it's not just the act, the foolish act, but it's actually thinking and planning it in your mind. And so we need to learn to take those thoughts captive before we even start to get to the planning stage of sin. And the scoffer is an abomination to men. And so let's even this morning make sure that we're taking those thoughts captive, we're bringing them in line of God's word, and we're thinking and planning wisely.